the video of Diddy assaulting Cassie. I mean, I can only speak for myself, but I was touched.
Look, I'm not gonna call Diddy a bitch, but I'm not gonna stop anyone who wants to. And I take that standpoint.
Because this is apparently not just one occasion, but just go through multiple occasions with a woman abusing her in this way. In the first instance, you deny it and you pretend like it hasn't happened.
Men who choose to assert their physical dominance over women, is that because they're losing the mental battle?
You can have that conversation and really tackle your issues, because someone somewhere is having to deal with it, and this could come up again.
Does he deserve a second chance?
Power doesn't corrupt people, people corrupt power. Welcome back to Teddy Talks. Teddy Suarez here. I'm joined by my brother, Sydney Suarez. We're going to be talking about a very deep topic today, a really huge issue in society today, connected actually to someone extremely powerful. You already know who this is. Puff, Daddy, P, Diddy, whatever he goes by nowadays. The domestic violence issue with Cassie.
Diddy or did he do it?
Diddy do it?
Diddy or did he do it?
Diddy do it?
I don't even know where they came up with that catchphrase, but it's bang on, isn't it?
I'm sure 50 Cent had something to do with it.
Yeah, he's working on a documentary.
Yeah. But I think one thing to note with this situation, we don't want to be in the habit of giving celebrities clout, or, I mean, Diddy doesn't need the clout, obviously, but, you know, we don't want the celebrity to overshadow the actual societal issue at hand, which is domestic abuse, domestic violence, right? When we watched the video first...
What video?
The video of Diddy assaulting Cassie. I mean, I can only speak for myself, but I was touched. I was touched by it in the sense that, you know, we have a lot of powerful women figures who we've grown up with, who we have learned from. You know, they've nurtured us into who we are today. And to think of anyone putting hands on any one of the women that have been in our lives, you know, it's unthinkable. Like, I couldn't even imagine hitting a man with full force, let alone, you know, rugby kicking or NFL kicking a woman on the floor. Like,
it's a very sad thing that's happened, and the fact that it exists on the internet forever for everyone to see, you know, makes the situation even more terrifying.
Uncomfortable watch.
Yes, it was very
so uncomfortable. It felt like you were watching something out of a series or a movie, or it almost didn't look real.
No. I mean, the fact that he was running down the corridor with a towel.
It looked like a maniac.
Yeah, that's like something you see out of a cartoon or maybe a comedy sketch. It's like, this guy was really brazen enough to run down a corridor where you know there's cameras, to attack someone who is supposed to be the love of your life. And it just shows that he really didn't care about the consequences because he thought he could get away with it. And it makes me wonder, though, that whether was he in control of himself, or was he doing things knowing that he could get away with it? And when we look at the situation closely and you see some of the reports around it, apparently when he used to, you know, abuse Cassie and he used to hit her, he would send her away to other countries to recover. And in that action, it makes you wonder, is he doing that because he cares about her and he wants her to recover in peace? Or is he doing that because he doesn't want the media to find out? He doesn't want the world to find out. He's trying to hide, you know,
the damage that
he's done.
But even when you think about that notion, is he supposed to be sending Cassie away or sending himself away? Because really and truly, I think, you know, I'm no violent person myself per se. I would never think anyone would say that I'm associated with violence, bar what I did on SAS. But I think for him to clearly, as a man, he's going through something. Clearly, as a man, he hasn't done the work to be able to deal with whatever is going on in his head. Because, as you said quite rightly, running down the corridor like that in public, you are a public figure. Doesn't even cut it for someone like Puff. Like, he is powerful. You know, was he given some keys to, I don't even know how it works in America. It's like a knighthood or something.
You get the keys to the city.
You get the keys to the city from the mayor, which is almost like being knighted. I think you explained to me. Here in the UK is almost the equivalent. So, you know, for him as an individual, not only is he got to consider the public, but he's got to consider that he's got 2 boys. Well, more than, I don't even know his family, but, you know, I know definitely that he's got 2 boys that will be looking at this. As you said, he's got girls. So mentally, like, how are you able to go through, because this is apparently not just one occasion, but just go through multiple occasions with a woman, abusing her in this way, and in the first instance, you deny it and you pretend like it hasn't happened. Then you backtrack and then you do apologize once the video surfaces, and, you know, you're claiming that you don't want forgiveness, but you're spouting forgiveness. You're spouting that you're sorry without even mentioning the girl's name. You're not mentioning Cassie's name in any capacity. You're not mentioning Cassie's family in any capacity. You're not mentioning even the husband. In fact, I believe he even commented on one of her photos when Cassie had delivered her child news to social media, and he commented congratulations to Cassie and the husband. Almost my feeling of that, looking at that, it's almost sarcastic. It's almost borderline psychotic behavior, because it's like you're getting a kick out of this now. At this point, you don't care whether or not Cassie's divulged all the information of what you've put her through to the husband. Imagine the husband. Imagine how he feels about the situation. Seeing a comment from Diddy, the guy that you know has abused your woman, who you idolize and who you think is, you know, the queen of your life. And then you see her abuser commenting on social media. Like,
it's just shocking behavior, isn't it?
All the whole spectrum of it is.
It's hard to understand how someone who's at the top of their game, who's been in the public eye for so long, makes critical errors. And I think that quote that I
think you're putting it politely. Critical errors is like that was like the best professional way to say it.
Well, you know what? I was watching Stephen Smith's take on this, and he was like, "Look, I'm not gonna call Diddy a bitch, but I'm not gonna stop anyone who wants to." And I take that standpoint. You know, I'm not someone who is aggressive either, unless you really push me whilst I'm having a drink. You know, that demon can come out. But what I find really interesting about this situation is that a lot of women are going through the same thing, but it's just because obviously this one's in the public eye, it's being intensified. And it makes me wonder about the reasons why men are compelled to hit women and get really aggressive. What do you think some of the reasons are behind that? You know, why is it that you have domestic abuse cases and, you know, a man feels that the only way to get my way with this person is to hit them?
I don't want to give any excuses to men who are I don't even let me put it politely, you know, that they're doing this thing for the sake of their pain, their hurt, and what have you. But one thing that strikes out in this situation is a system, the system that we have, where for a long time, even when you look at history, there's been a complex of males dominating women. So when you get to a point when you are perhaps in front of a woman that is dominant, she's financially secure. I'm trying to paint the picture of Cassie, who's a singer as well. She's got her own community of people who absolutely love her. She's got great music that's out there as well. I almost remember when Cassie first came out into the music world, I almost would have pit her as the next Aaliyah. You know, beautiful, you know, got a bit of culture behind her. And it looks innocent, sweet, but also has a fantastic voice.
At the time, she was quite young.
But she was, the time that she actually got...
19 years old.
The time that she got with Diddy, you would almost classify her as a baby in terms of relationships. Mm-hmm. She doesn't know whether or not she loves Diddy or not. She just sees a very powerful man who can literally make her music shine in every single radio station. Not to say that that's probably the reason why she got with him. I'm sure it was romantic and what have you. But in light of the situation and what you just asked me, I do believe that there's a system issue. I do believe that there's an issue where by men who have got pain, hurt, a build-up of issues, who haven't dealt with it, are also in this system of males thinking that they are more superior than women. So when it gets to them having a partner that loves them and a partner that's really giving them everything, making them feel that actually the world isn't surrounded by all this pain and hurt, and giving them that release, they abuse that. They don't appreciate it. They don't know what to do with it because, as I said, they haven't done the work. They haven't put in the work to heal from whatever trauma, whatever pain, whatever it is that is going on within them. And sometimes that could be because their previous relationship may have been toxic. It could have been that, you know, they've grown up seeing their parents go at each other's necks. It could be that, you know, they're not quite ready for a partner to give them all that love and give them all. One thing's for sure is I know that when I'm in a relationship and, you know, I appreciate the partner I'm with, there's an element of that relationship that lifts me. There's an element of me feeling unstoppable. So one of my biggest confusions about this entire situation is why men have a complex in their head that my partner isn't able to give me what I need to make me a better person or make me feel as though I'm unstoppable, you know? You see so many couples that are successful that actually, between the two of them, you know, the male is making the woman push herself in all areas of her life in a positive way. You know, when it comes to negative situations, they're there for them, and vice versa. The woman is there to give the man something that maybe his friends can never give or his family can never give, and give that kind of nurturing advice that they need in specific moments in their lives that actually propels them to the next level of their life. So when you see domestic abuse in a relationship from both sides, obviously right now the prevalent thing is Diddy did, right? it's painful to see. Because really, you would like to think that in those relationships, as much as there must be some sort of hateful situation that has allowed you to get to that point, you'd like to think that these relationships has blossomed from love. But to see it get so bad, it is heartbreaking.
It's really heartbreaking. It's really heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. He said a lot of interesting things there, and it made me wonder about whether men who choose to assert their physical dominance over women, is that because they're losing the mental battle? So it's like, you know, I don't want to talk through this situation with you. And the easiest answer is for me to shut you up by asserting myself over you physically. That's how I'm going to get my way, because you're in a man's view has this complex of I am the dominant one in the relationship. This is a very old school, archaic way of thinking. I feel like maybe they feel like that's the only option. It's the only way out.
It's a weakness.
It's a cop-out.
It's a weakness. It's a cowardly way of dealing with pressure, your issues. And this might offend a lot of people who are in this position that maybe feel as though they can't speak, so they are able to resort to violence. More so resort to violence towards someone that's completely helpless. I remember looking at the video and I thought to myself, she's barely even trying to protect herself. More so because she can't. Like, it's almost pointless, right? Mm-hmm. And the only way to protect herself from that situation is go back and apologize. Go back and, you know, pretty much curl up in a ball and still deal with the treachery that's going on in the situation. Now,
did Cassie have Stockholm syndrome? You know, when...
What is Stockholm
syndrome? When you form some sort of bond with your abuser. Or when you feel that, you know, your abuser in some sense cares for you in some way. So you keep going back to them. You have a strong attachment. And that's why you're still there. It's not because you believe that the situation is not harmful for you, but it's because you feel that I can't leave this person. This person means so much to me. I'm, in a way, I am in love with them. I am in love with them.
That's something I'm never going to be able to understand. I can't answer it, but all I can say to that is, you know, there's women that have been in my life romantically that have told me that they've been abused before, that they've had someone hit them before. They've had someone throw them down the stairs before. They've had someone, you know, drag their hair and pull them. And I always ask the question, why did you let this person get away with it? For the most part, the responses I get is that, he's not really like that. He was on drugs. He was on coke. He was really, really drunk.
Why do we make excuses?
One of the people that stick out in my mind was that it was because he's now got a family. He's now got a wife. He's now got a child. I want peace. I don't want problems. Now, yes, I'm a huge believer in the fact that the man himself needs to recognize that you have something that is potentially wrong with you, not even potentially, definitely wrong with you. You have something within you that needs to be spoken about. Now, if you are one of those men that have managed to somehow spin the situation, be narcissistic enough to make her feel as though she's in the wrong somehow, you still need to have a conversation with someone. Just because you got away with it and she may not feel brave enough, whoever may not feel brave enough or comfortable enough to basically go and speak up, tell a family member, tell the police, because the be all and end all, this is crime. Like, you're not supposed to be putting your hands on anyone, let alone a woman.
But he's not going to snitch on himself.
Right? You can have a confidential conversation with a therapist. Right? You can have that conversation and really tackle your issues. Because someone, somewhere, is having to deal with it. And this could come up again. You know? Don't get me wrong, I commend those people that if it's down to alcohol, they put the alcohol down. I'm never going to drink again. It was a huge mistake. I'm completely sorry about it. Let me move on with my life. I'm never going to touch alcohol again. That day you do touch alcohol and you haven't dealt with your issues, it could potentially come up again. Right? So don't ignore the beast, the monster that's inside you. And that's one thing that from the Diddy situation, it really struck out to me that I think it was sometime in September, makes this drastic statement to say that people are assassinating my character, people are trying to essentially use this situation to try and get money from me. All these comments that he made to hide the monster that's inside him, only for then, months later, this gets released. And then you put out a social media video of you apologizing for something that you said months ago you didn't do. That struck out to me for the pure reason that he didn't want to face himself in the mirror and realize who he is as a person and try and heal. It won't take a genius to piece those two things together.
Or maybe he still wanted to enjoy the freak-offs, the Diddy parties. You know, he wanted to be outside and he thought, you know what?
He thought saying sorry on that video was going to help him have a freak-off again.
I don't know. Maybe he thought there is a potential here that because I'm not going to get charged for this video, I can still win the public's hearts by apologizing. People are very forgiving. But looking at the situation, I believe his career in the public light, it's over. It's done.
Yeah.
You know, whether he wants to do works behind the scenes, I don't even know whether any brands would ever want to go close to him or even touch him with a barge pole.
I would love to touch on that because given the fact that Diddy as a person, and I know we're using Diddy, it's the most prevalent thing. But one question in my mind is, how on earth has rumors about Diddy decades been circulating, but then brand partnerships have still happened, deals have still happened, negotiations that has made him who he is today still happened?
We'll go back to your quote, power corrupts. You know, he had crisis management teams to shut all of these situations down. He knew how to hide his shortcomings from everyone else. He would send Cassie away so people wouldn't see her bruises. He'll shut away in hotels. Now the can of worms have been opened. Did he or did he not kill his wife? You know, was he abusing his wife? His bodyguard is now doing interviews saying that he was abusing his ex-wife as well. What about all of the other girls who came outside and was doing interviews and said, look, I was also abused by Diddy? A whole heap of cases are now going to come to light. And I believe that this is...
His ex also recently, his ex-wife, when Cassie's video came out and said that she resonated with Cassie's situation. That for me is like, okay, so there's a lot of people that have been around this toxic character who clearly needs help, but has somehow fueled the flame. Think about the freak-offs that we talked about earlier. Think about all the parties. I remember there was someone that told me they went to a Diddy party, and I was like, oh shit, at the time. But now I'm thinking, well, what did you see?
For anyone tuning in, what's a freak-off?
You're going to have to explain it, because I don't actually...
I don't know either. I don't really understand it.
So the freak-off situation is... The freak-off, from how I understand it, was that he made Cassie sleep with other people. So they'd go to a hotel, or they just would do things that she wouldn't be comfortable with. But this would involve drugs. This would, some people call it a blowout weekend. But Diddy's blowout weekend involved pressurizing the woman that he apparently loves into sleeping with someone else whilst he's watching and masturbating.
That's crazy. Is that again, not knowing the details behind that, whether he's had backdoor agreements with the men who want to sleep with Cassie?
I see what you did there. Backdoor agreements. I see what you did there.
Just a little bit of wordplay.
Yeah. I see what you did there.
But the point I'm trying to make here is this a form of sex trafficking? Because he's making plans with other men to sleep with his woman, and who knows whether he was putting a price on that. It's not just I'm watching through a peephole and I'm going to masturbate whilst this is happening. Is he actually benefiting financially from that as well? Because we need to think about the fact that Cassie is a highly desirable woman as well.
Beautiful
right?
woman.
Very,
absolutely
very, very beautiful.
Woman.
And her songs, she does great songs as well. Ryan Leslie and Cassie.
Oh, those days were fantastic. Yeah.
I mean,
hey. Yeah. Oh.
Hey, tell me you like it. Hey, Shaka.
Tell me how you like it.
So, there's a point here that in the Hollywood scene, she could have been that shining trophy that all man was fantasizing. Oh my days. Did you hear about Cassie and the freak-offs? I want to have my turn. How do I get involved in that? I'm going to contact Diddy and see whether I can make this happen. Oh. So I feel like there is more to this story. And then the other thing, right, is that you asked the question, how is it that this has transpired for many, many years and nobody's saying anything? In the previous episode, we talked about the bystander effect. The words escaped my mind.
Remind everyone about the bystander effect.
The bystander effect was, when people are viewing a situation that's happening, a really bad one, but nobody in the room wants to do anything about it. Nobody in the space, whether it's in a workplace, whether it's in a public space.
Which, bear in mind, these rooms we're talking about, there are alleged powerful people within these rooms. There are alleged iconic people within these rooms who are doing nothing about it.
And are they scared of Diddy? Are they scared of his influence? Or is he good at manipulating them? And the question I ask is it for the same reasons why people stayed quiet when they knew Harvey Weinstein was doing what he was doing?
Weinstein, yeah.
Or when Jeffrey Epstein was doing what he was doing. Weinstein. Yeah. I really like to remix names.
Yeah, you do.
Jeffrey Epstein as well. Yeah, some really bad characters here, but
their name to be called out properly, to be fair.
But they're all in the same league now, right?
They all have a common denominator. They are all people that have got some sort of influence. Diddy's influence, he's able to tell a young girl that he can propel her career. He could make her the biggest R&B artist, maybe even bigger than Beyonce, maybe even bigger than Aaliyah, you know, all these greats that Diddy has apparently rubbed shoulders with. He's able to whisper these sweet nothings into her ear. Weinstein, the same thing. Jeffrey, the same thing. Come to my island. And the reality of it is, we as people, we as the audience have given a lot of these people the keys to their kingdom. We haven't really, and when I say that, I say those people that have been surrounded by these, I'm going to call them demons, because ultimately they've probably thought that they have something to gain for themselves.
I'm not a therapist, but I think that Diddy definitely struggles with uncontrolled aggression. Everyone can clearly see that in the video.
He's very reactive.
Very reactive. And if we were to label the demon, I will label the demon as something a lot of young men also struggle with, is controlling their aggression. And someone like Diddy, who's come from the streets, who's used to resolving intense situations with a form of, I am the bigger man in this room, and I'm going to show you how I'm the bigger man by imposing myself. By using that sort of stature throughout his whole life, he probably missed where the line was. He was like, you know, I've actually been using this same pattern to get anything I want in life, whether it's women, whether it's brand deals, whether it's signing a new artist. I know how to assert myself really well in a situation.
Nobody's going to do anything about it.
And no one's going to do anything about it. And I've seen the fact that nobody has done anything about it. So I'm going to carry on doing it. So what we've seen in the video, although it's completely shocking, how can this man be fully naked pretty much with a towel covering him, running down the corridor, knowing there's CCTV there? How is he so dumb enough to do that? Because he knows that he can get away with it.
Yeah, and the crazy thing you've just said, to us, we think it's stupid, it's dumb, because he knows there's a camera in the corner. But in the back of his mind, clearly he knew a small 50 grand is going to be okay for me to do what I'm going to do. I'm going to call my lawyer after I've done this and tell them, look, we need to pay this hotel for this video. But then in the same breath say that I'm the man that's healing and I'm the man that's just spoken to God and said, look, I'm going to be a better man.
Does he deserve a second chance?
I'm a firm believer in second chances, but you know, Diddy, we're not on second chances, apparently. Allegedly, there's so many different things that he's been called into question for, and it's not even for me to think he wants a second chance or not, or needs a second chance. He needs to do a lot of soul searching for his family, for himself, for the people that he's now going to move forward with, if he can even move forward in his comfort space that he's in right now. I don't even believe he can stay in America.
So what do you think the apology was? What was that? What do you think he was trying to achieve with that apology? Because people are questioning whether it's authentic, whether it was reacting without thinking, because he finally believes the police are on his door and the public's also now not on his side, or the people who was backing him up are no longer backing him up. There was even celebrities that are standing up for him who now have to backtrack. What do you think he was trying to do there?
The only thing I could kind of equate this to is it sounds so weird for people listening at home, but Jesus said, Lord, forgive people or they don't know what they're doing. The difference here is that I firmly believe that Diddy knows what he's doing. I firmly believe that Diddy knows the wrongs that he has done in his past life. Because that video, I'm someone who's grown up watching Diddy, Biggie, Tupac, Aaliyah, and all these greats in history that are no longer here. But that video was the first time that when I saw it, I saw someone that is being manipulative. You know, like it didn't look like a video that was sincere. So when, off the back of that video, anyone asks the question, can you believe and forgive this guy? Off the back of that video alone, no. Add some flavor to it. Oh, wait, do you remember in September when he denied all these things?
He should have even explained why he was denying it in the first place.
Right?
He should have even explained what was those traumatic experience you were going through that
I'm
made
denying
you...
this situation because I need to protect my deal with Ciroc. I'm denying this situation because I've got a family to... Be honest about whatever the hell is going on. Because at the end of the day, if you can't be honest with those small details, it would suggest to everyone else that, bro, you're struggling to even be honest with yourself. You haven't even apologized to the person that you hurt. Forget about your lawyer. Forget about all the legalities that you're going to deal with, because it's inevitable. You're going to deal with it, bro. The video's out.
There's a conspiracy about the video.
Go on. What's the conspiracy?
There's a conspiracy that... So in America, they don't relate to the police as the police. They call them the feds, right? And they say that the feds used the video as a negotiating tactic to make Diddy comply with their demands. So, you know, they're negotiating in the background with Diddy. Well, this is how we want things to go.
What are the demands, though? What?
I'm not too close to
that video. Is bro.
The video is very
That video is not a negotiation.
It's not a negotiation.
You're finished after that video.
You're finished. It's a nail in the coffin for his career in the spotlight, right? But according to the law in the US, they can't charge him for that video. I don't know the details. If anyone's watching and you're well versed in law, educate us in the comments. Why is it that Diddy cannot be charged for his actions in that video? I would love to know that.
Oh, there's it's too long. The period of when he's... Again, I might be wrong, but from what I understand about this, they call it a pillar justice thing. I don't know what the actual term is, but essentially when it's actually happened, the time period has passed for when he can be charged.
Yeah. That makes sense. Because I remember one time, I think I got a speeding ticket and the police got back to me too late and they couldn't charge me for that. And they got quite angry and they wanted to charge me for something else. But that's a story for another day.
That's a story for another day, or maybe never.
Never. But well, there's a conspiracy, right? Is that they knew that would hurt him.
Yeah.
And apparently it would have been a threat. Like, Diddy, you need to come to the table and meet our demands. And he would have... His ego would have taken over and said no.
Demands of what, though? Is there something?
I don't know exactly what's happening.
Oh man, I wish you worked for the FBI.
I don't know exactly what's happening in the background, but apparently there are rumors. People believe that there could be more leaks, and
he's going through. He's going through the sex trafficking. He's going through sexual assault, I believe. So this is one of many issues. I think there's 5 charges that Diddy's facing outside or including the Cassie situation.
What about the notion of him storing a bank of videos from his parties where celebrities are doing drugs, having sex with each other, and
apparently using these videos against a lot of these celebrities
He's
to get
blackmailing
his
them.
way.
exactly.
Yeah, blackmailing. What about it? Sorry.
Yeah, again, it brings us back to your quote: "Power corrupts." And if he is doing that, then I firmly believe that he is going down. Like if they will get him on the sex trafficking, they'll get him on, blackmailing. All it will take is someone to come out who's also a public figure and say, Diddy was blackmailing me, and here is the evidence. Here are the receipts, and then another can of worms opens up.
So I want to go back to the legalities of how America operates with this situation being too long, too short, whatever excuse they have to not prosecute Diddy. But how do you think that impacts the younger generation of men, women? How do you think that impacts social media today and our society? Because, we've seen the Weinsteins, Jeffrey, and all these documentaries that have come out vilifying these people. What's his name? Bill Cosby?
Bill Cosby.
Cosby.
Now you're remixing.
No, bro. None of these people deserve to have their names said right, bro. I keep going back to that.
Bill Cosby is a debatable one.
But how do you think it would impact the young generation, not even just the young generation, society in itself, if he isn't prosecuted for this Cassie situation?
I think it will stop victims from being brave enough to admit the truths about their situation. I think that there will be more and more victims who stay quiet and stay silent because they believe that, if someone who's in the public eye, who's had a video exposed showing the fact that they're hitting another woman when they're not defending themselves, if everyone can see this and they still get away with it, how am I supposed to have faith in my situation? How can I even have faith that anyone's going to believe me when there is no video? My bruises have healed now. So, the timeline of the events, I need to find some other form of evidence which is even more harder to prove. How do we believe victims when they come out and say, this person's done me wrong? How do we listen to them? Because there was this period where everyone was challenging Cassie.
You're right. There was so many people that it was like the boy that cried wolf almost. And they almost believed the narrative of she just wants money.
Mm-hmm. It is that innocent until proven guilty, right?
Yeah, so, I agree with innocent until proven guilty. Of course I do. But I think as a society where we really have fallen off with this situation is that anyone can look at this and say, oh, it's a shame. He's not going to get prosecuted. It happened ages ago. Because right now, as we talk about this situation, there's a woman somewhere in the world that's getting beaten right now. They're not going to get any news coverage. We're just fortunate enough or Cassie is fortunate enough that she survived. That Diddy wasn't strong enough to have, ruptured something when he kicked her or, So what example are we trying to set? How are we trying to say in one breath, oh, this is wrong as a society, but then not have a repercussion for it.
That's why I believe they will get him. You know, I'm not saying that is the right outcome or whether it's the wrong one. God is the ultimate judge. But I think, unlike the Rihanna and Chris Brown situation, there's a video. You know, there was that picture of Rihanna, and it was horrifying to even see her all battered and bruised in the way she did, the way she was, and she was like the darling. She still is the darling of, you know, the music industry, and even beyond that, she's great. I mean, even though I'm not married to her, but, you know,
She's fantastic. She's yeah.
But you know what's happening now is crazy. You know, that video is going to exist forever. Even if the dust settles, someone can resurface this video and say, "Hey, Diddy, remember when you did that?" It's like that's a huge stain on his legacy. People will forget the last night I didn't get an answer. All those bangers that he used to make.
Oh, do you know, that's one of the frustrating things when you look at Diddy and you think to yourself, I genuinely used to really bump to this guy, and I genuinely used to think that he's an iconic individual doing a lot for the black community, and, you know, yeah, it really does feel like some of these people, as we mentioned within the Drake and Kendrick beef when we spoke about it not too long ago, some of these iconic people or people of status have to remember that they have got a responsibility given the fact that they have got so much power. And it's not necessarily just a responsibility to make sure that the younger generation, the people who are within your community, who love you, adore you, idolize you, some people do the most ridiculous things for you. It's for yourself as well. In Diddy's situation, in some of these domestic violence situations, it's also for the people who are around you. As we said earlier on, the wife, your daughter, your sons, the people who you affect within the hip-hop industry, within your workspace, those people who you walk through the door in the morning and you say good morning to, you look them in the eyes, they have no idea who you are deep down, but you've given this mirror of a person that is all righteous, is the person that you should be following and taking examples from.
So are we losing role models? You know, we've had R. Kelly fall from grace. P. Diddy, we're watching him fall from grace. You know, we've seen a few others fall from grace as well.
I think we still do have some great role models in the world, some great people doing great things in the world. And we thank God for that. Like, I do genuinely think that the hip-hop, rap, music industry, they have an opportunity right now. They have an opportunity to be able to take the industry, look at it, and just make a few tweaks. There was a Jay-Z album. Jay-Z had a great album where he was talking about all his woes, his trials, his tribulations, therapies, talking about all these things. Yes. He's talking about everything is the thing that we should be listening to as males who are listening to his music, as females, everything in between, who are listening to these people day in, day out on a radio station. There's an opportunity here to really shift from this toxic period of, because if you think about it, the whole Diddy thing, has been going on since way back when Biggie passed away, right? The Tupac situation, which is now all blowing up again.
Did he or did he not set up?
Did he or
Biggie?
did he not set up Biggie? Because of the traffic light situation of when he drove on and Biggie was right behind him, and
He drove off on a red light.
And then lo and behold, seconds later, Biggie gets shot. So no conspiracy theories, guys. This is actually what apparently happened. I think there's a great opportunity here within the music industry to really shine a light on these issues and speak about things within a certain way, within a certain degree of understanding that actually we need to do better. Especially because that industry is it's got such a light on it right now. Like I said earlier, you had the Drake beef, Kendrick beef. You had Megan Thee Stallion, Nicki Minaj. You've had so many prevalent situations around this industry that, yes, some of them have been addressed, but it's not the first time we're hearing a domestic violence issue within the industry.
What if we lose another role model? Because
I don't think it's a loss. It's not a loss.
It's not a loss.
When you look at it, it's not a loss.
Mm-hmm.
He shouldn't have been a role model in the first place.
It reminds me of J. Cole's song called False Prophets. False Prophets. Well, I think he probably was digging at Kanye West at the time. But the whole premise of the song was, be careful who you idolize. You know, these people who you become fixated on, who's spouting all sweet nothings about life. The same way Diddy turned his persona into Diddy Love.
Diddy Love.
Did
you know, that frustrates me as well. You claim to be someone who enjoys the company of women and serenading women, and I like to do all these wonderful things for women. But bro, you like to beat women as well. And you haven't addressed that.
So is that a sign we should be picking up with master manipulators? Is when they put a mask on to show that they are extremely on one end, which actually means on the inside they're hiding that there's a real dark polar opposite to that thing they're showing on the surface, which is in Diddy's case, I am showing that I am the ultimate personification of love. And I'm someone who is always giving love to anyone who's in the room. But actually, deep down, you're someone who's very, very controlling, who's very manipulative, who's very powerful, and that exercises power in ways that allows you to enable all of the things that you're doing in your life. Is that a sign? Because I wonder as well, it makes me think of all the other powerful people who invest in charities to give a persona or an image to the public that I am this good person. Well, actually, you're not. I'm doing it because I want to score another brownie point. I want to show that I'm doing good work for society. I think, you know, you brought a quote from the Bible. I think Jesus also said something like, when you do something with your right hand, don't let your left hand know that you're doing it.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, Jesus said that, yeah?
I think so.
Okay.
It's one of the scriptures in there. Someone will also correct us. But I like that as well, right? Why does everyone have to know about the good things that you're doing? Let the people who know about the good things that you're doing tell everyone else.
Exactly.
You know,
I agree with that.
I saw a video today which inspired me about one of our friends, Soul Lovemore, where he was giving a speech to year 10 students, and he said, one of the most important things that I want you guys to remember is that the things that people say about you when you're not in the room, one of the most powerful things in life. how people speak about you, how they feel about you when you're not in that room, that is your reputation. You don't need to do all the talking and tell the world, you know, I've got 5 gold medals because I've done this, I've done that. Well, just let them see your actions. Let them feel your energy. Oh,
Because it speaks for itself.
That speaks for itself.
I think that's a good way to potentially close today, because there is so many moments in life where everybody feels as though they need to hide the things, the dark things that are within them. And actually, I would implore a lot of the people that have got a lot of these dark related issues, pains, hurt, whatever it is they've gone through, things that they may have seen, that there is a huge question mark in their head, or maybe even a small question mark in their head as to whether or not, oh, I'm fine, or I'm brushing this feeling off. But actually, I don't think it's just men. I know women also have their own deep-rooted things that they also need to heal from. But in the interest of what is going on today in terms of the domestic violence against women, I really do want to speak out there to a lot of the men out there, and don't be afraid to tackle your issues. Don't be afraid to confront the pain, the hurt. Because ultimately, by not doing that, you're hurting everyone else around you. I don't know. Do you have anything else to add?
That's a great note to end on. And you're also hurting yourself in the process. I'm sure Diddy doesn't feel good about himself watching that video. I'm sure he regrets all the moments that he hit Cassie, all the moments that he hit his ex-wife, his late wife. I'm sure he regrets.
I've got to say, it didn't look like it.
It
didn't look like it when he was sat on that chair throwing stuff at Cassie. But yes,
I believe his ego hasn't been set aside yet. And I think once he's ready to set aside his ego and actually address the situation for what it is, we'll see the real sorrows. We'll see the real resentment.
I do believe that as well. I do believe at some point, whether or not it's, I don't know how old he is, all the way up to 50 plus, 70, 60, 80, 90, whenever he decides to have remorse. But yes, I agree with you on that front. At some point, you'll look back on this. God knows when that will be. But as you mentioned earlier on, between him and the Almighty, or whoever he believes in, or whatever, apparently it is God, but it's baffling to me, because he has spoken a lot about religious things. And I don't understand how you have the two and be who you are and do the things that you do. But again, we try not to judge. On that note, thank you very much for tuning in today. A lot of serious things that we spoke about today. And if there is any of you out there who are struggling with tendencies, the feeling of anger, the feeling of feeling like you want to put your hands on someone, reach out, and we'll tell you where to go. We'll help you in some way, shape, or form. And actually, from the other side of the fence as well, if you are feeling as though you're locked in a place where you don't know where to turn, and actually you feel like if you tell your friends, your family, reach out to someone. It may not have to be us, but what I found from this whole situation, I don't know about you, Sydney, but it feels as though a lot of people don't feel safe in these domestic situations. feels as though a lot of people don't know where to go in these domestic situations. And sometimes just speaking to anyone we've found can help. So I'd like to end on that note. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment below any experiences you may feel as well. And any part of this video that may have, this podcast, this episode that may have touched you, let us know. Thank you.